Hello, welcome to Learn with Lakineni. So in this session, I'm going to explain the language fundamentals. So any programming language, if you want to learn, first of all, you need to know the constructs of the language, the fundamentals of the language. So in the coming 2-3 sessions, I'm going to explain you the complete language fundamentals. So you please go through the video clearly and understand and write the notes, and you please prepare so that it will be helpful for you. So before watching my video, all of you please subscribe to my channel, Learn with Lakineni. Please subscribe, share and like so that you'll get more updates from my channel, Learn with Lakineni. Thank you. Please watch the video. Don't forget to subscribe. So the next session is language fundamentals. So language fundamental means the building blocks of any programming language. If you want to construct, if you want to write anything in a particular programming language, we should know what are the fundamental building blocks of a particular language. So when it may be a C language, C++, Java, any programming language contains some constructs, some fundamentals. So with the fundamentals only, we have to start writing the programming concepts. We can develop the programming concepts. So in this regard, today we are discussing language fundamentals. So in that language fundamentals, the first thing which we have to discuss is identifiers. Identifier is the first important concept which we have to know. We have to discuss in language fundamentals, because if you want to define anything, we should give a name. That name is an identifier. What is an identifier? An identifier is a name. A name in a Python program is called identifier. Without identifier, we cannot write the programs. Because if you want to store, if you want to call, if you want to label anything, we should be able to give some name to the particular thing, so that we can call with that name. So that name is nothing but identifier. Suppose if you take, if I want to store a value 10, if you want to store the value 10 in a variable, in the variable, we should declare the variable name. That means, suppose if you want to store 10 in a, what is a? Here a is called as a variable name. So that variable name is nothing but an identifier. Identifier means which identifies uniquely the importance of that particular thing. So that's why a name in Python program is called identifier. It can be class name, or it can be any function name, or it can be any module name, or it can be any variable name. It may be identifier means it doesn't mean that always variables only having identifiers. Anyone, if you want to give a class name, you should be an identifier. If you want to give a function name, it is an identifier. If you want to give a module name, if you want to give a name to the variable, all this comes under identifiers. So in remaining languages, in C, C++, Java, in Python also, we have some rules in order to identify, in order to give a name to the identifier, in order to give a name to the class or function, module, or anything. We should have some predefined rules. With that predefined rules only, we have to define the identifiers in Python. So in Python, there are very few limitations and very few instructions while declaring the identifiers in Python. So the only allowed characters in Python in order to define a identifier is either lowercase letters, that means either lowercase alphabets, or uppercase alphabet. That means either lowercase alphabets, or you can take uppercase alphabets. And the allowed characters are digits from 0 to 9 and underscore. So these are the only things, these are the only characters which you can use in order to define the Python identifier. So except these characters, you should not define any other character. If you use any other character, Python won't accept it as an identifier. That means alphabets from small a to small z, and capital alphabets from capital letters from capital A to capital Z, and digits from 0 to 9 and underscore. These are only allowed characters in order to define identifier name. In order to define the identifier. Next one is, so there are, suppose if you want to define an identifier, So the only allowed characters are for the identifiers are 0 to 9 digits, and characters from small a to small z, and capital A to capital Z, and underscore only allowed characters. Suppose if you want to start an identifier with a digit, it won't be allowed. That means we cannot use and you cannot start an identifier with the digits. Suppose if you use like this, then it will be wrong declaration. That means your Python will not consider it as a identifier, and it will give you as an error. Suppose if you start total 1 to 3, then that means it is an allowed identifier. That means if you start the identifier with any character from alphabets A to Z, it will be accepted. First letter should be an alphabet followed by any number of digits or something. Suppose if I write like this, T 1 2 5 some K. So this is an allowed character. This is an allowed identifier. But if you start with a number 1 2 some T, it won't be allowed. Why? Because the identifier starts with the digits. So yeah, as per the instructions of, as per the rules of identifier rules of Python, the identifier should not start with digits. So it is not accepted. In the same manner, identifiers are case sensitive. Python language is very case sensitive. That means here if you see, here I have written defined a identifier as a total is equal to 10. Here I have defined capital total with capital letters, which is equal to 999. Suppose if I print total, it will print 10, and if I print the capital letters total, it will print 999. But here this total is same. The letters in this total and the letters in this total both are same. Even both letters are same. These two are not identified as same identifiers because of its case sensitive. Python language is completely case sensitive. Suppose if I write if I define a is equal to 10, and if I define some capital A is equal to 20. Suppose if you want to print A, then it will print the value as 10. If you want to print the value of capital A, it will print the value of capital A is equal to 20. That means these Python is treating small a is different, and capital A is different. It won't take those two are alphabets only, A and capital A are equal, so that it won't give the same value. So it is because of its case sensitivity, small a is treated different, and capital A is treated different. So when we are declaring the identifiers, we should be very clear about writing the characters. That means either it may be small lowercase letters, or it may be a uppercase letters. So Python is case sensitive. Long ways. Next one. So here the characters are allowed Python in Python uppercase or lowercase, and identifier to start with underscore. But there is some problem, there is some importance if any identifier starts with an underscore. Why? Because in Python, if any identifier starts with underscore, it will be treated as a private. So some situations only we can use underscore before the we can start an identifier with underscore. Identifiers should not start with a digits. Identifiers are case sensitive, so we cannot use the reserved words as identifier. Suppose if you take def is a reserved word. That reserved word cannot be used for your own purpose. Suppose if you use the reserved word for your own purpose, it won't be considered. It will show it as an error. Next, the most important thing in Python is there is no limitation on the number of characters in the identifier. You can have infinity number of characters. You can have any number of characters in defining the identifiers. But it is not customer. It is not good practice to use more number of characters in identifier. If you use more number of characters, it is very difficult to use it. So even though we have the flexibility, but we will use the length of identifiers must be according to the requirement. Next, dollar symbol is not allowed as an identifier in Python. So only uppercase letters and lowercase letters and digits from 0 to 9 and underscore only we can use as characters for as characters in identifier. Next, if identifier, here you have to remember something about identifiers. If identifier starts with a symbol, underscore symbol, then Python internal treats it as a private. Suppose if an identifier starts with a double underscore, so suppose if it is a single underscore, then it will be a private. Suppose if an identifier starts with a two underscores, so then it is treats it that identifier as a strongly private. These things we will use in OOPS concepts. Suppose if an identifier starts with two underscore symbols and ends with two underscore symbols, then we can say that those variable is a magic method. So long way specified names, special names, which are also known as magic methods. For that only those identifiers will start with a double underscore at the front and double underscore at the end of the identifier. So these are the things which we have to follow about Python while defining the Python identifiers. The next important thing to know about the next topic is reserved words. Reserved word means a word which is defined for a specific purpose in any programming language. All programming languages have its their own reserved words. In the similar fashion, Python is also having its reserved words. That means that word has some specific purpose, and we have to use that word for that specific purpose only. So this is the use of reserved word. In Python, some words are reserved to present some meaning or functionality. So this type of words are called reserved words. There are 33 reserved words available in Python. So they are true, false, none, and, are, not, is, if, elif, else, while, for, break, continue, return, in, yield, try, accept, finally, rise, assert, import, from, as, class, define, def, pass, global, non-local, lambda, del, with. So these are the different keywords available in Python which has a specific purpose. So these are has specific purpose, and, or, not, is has a specific purpose, if, elif, else, this is another set of reserved words, and so like that there are 33 key reserved words which have their own meaning in Python. So now all reserved words in Python contains only alphabets only. So every reserved word contains alphabets only, and all reserved words contains lowercase alphabets only, except three reserved words: true, false, none. These are the only reserved words which are having the first letter as a capital letter, and the remaining all reserved words are having only lowercase letters. So this is about reserved word. These reservoirs cannot be used for our own purpose as identifier to name a function or a class name or a variable name. We cannot use it for own purpose. Why? Because they have defined their own purpose. They have their own functionality. So we have to use those reservoirs for their own functionality, for their own purpose only, for their purpose only. So suppose if you want to see the reservoirs, you can see the reservoirs like that. First of all, you have to import the word, import keyword, and from the keyword dot kw list. That means keyword list. It shows all the reservoirs available in the Python. So the next topic in Python is data types in Python. So this is the most important concept in Python. From this, we will go one by one concepts of Python, and we'll go to the next steps. So first of all, we will discuss all the data types in Python. What is a data type? The way of presenting data inside a variable is called as data type. Suppose if you want to store some value, so you are storing that value in a variable. So that variable is holding your value. So that value is of some type. So that is called as data type. Data type represents the type of data representing inside a variable. In Python, we are not required to specify the type explicitly, but based on the value, internally Python knows what type of value is storing by the user. That means type Python is dynamically typed language. Already we have discussed what is a dynamically typed language. The programmer or the user should not worry about what type of value he is going to store. It is a Python button to recognize what type of value is given by the programmer and declare the memory location. So type will be assigned automatically. Hence, Python is dynamically typed language. So there is a difference between statically typed language and dynamically typed language. In statically typed language, it is the responsibility of the programmer to define the variables of particular type while in the declaration section while writing the program. But whereas when it comes to dynamically typed language, here programmer should not worry about what type of value he is giving. He just assign the value to a particular variable. When it is compiling in the compilation process, Python will recognize internally what type of value is being given by the programmer, and it assigns that particular data type. So Python contains 14 inbuilt data types. They are int, float, complex, bool, string, bytes, byte array, range, list, tuple, set, frozen set, dictionaries, and none. So these are the 14 data types available in order to represent and to do things with your data. So integer data type, float data type, complex data type, boolean, string, bytes, byte array, range, list, tuples, sets, frozen sets, dictionaries, and none. So these are the 14 data types available in Python to store your data, to do operations with your data, and to have some collection of data. All these things related to data can be done with these 14 data types. Suppose if you want to see the number of keywords available and the keywords available in the Python, you just import keyword, then press enter, then keyword dot kw list. Then it shows all the keywords available in the Python. Keywords means reserved words. So suppose if you want to see the number of how many number of keywords are available, then you use the function called length of keyword dot kw list. Then you press enter. Then you got the answer. That means the number of keywords are 35. Initially, I told that the number of keywords are 33. So in later versions of Python is completely frequently going to update it. New versions are always being released in the market. So the new later on those new two more new keywords are added into the Python reserved word list. So that's why the keywords rise from 33 to 35. The new words, the new keywords added in the Python are one is asynchronous and second one is await. So these are the new keywords added in the new versions of Python. So finally, these are the 35 keywords which are available in Python version. So I hope you all have watched my video. So in this entire video, I explained the basic fundamentals of the Python programming language, in which I have explained. So what is an identifier? What are the rules for identifier? How to define identifier? And what are the variables? And what are the keywords? How many keywords are there? There are totally 32 up to Python 3.4 version. In the latter versions, now the keywords are increased to 35.
Okay. So in the next session onwards, I'm going to explain what are the different data types available in the Python with complete examples and hands-on practice. So thank you watching for my video. Please subscribe to my channel, Learn with Lakineni.